Welcome back, watch people. I'm very, very sorry that we are late. I'm having a technical issue here with my headphones. Anthony is waiting in the background. He is live. He is with us. I'm ever so sorry. This has been an absolute nightmare the last 10 minutes. So because I've tested this today twice ahead of this, and lo and behold, my earphones suddenly stopped working. First of all, can you tell us, just give us a clue, guys? Can you see me okay? Okay, right. So we're on. Let's have a look. Just bear with me, guys. The show will start very soon, hopefully. I think this is what they call Sod's Law. Anthony, you can still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, right. So they can see me. Right, Anthony, I've put you into the waiting room. Just 1 second. And for all you people out there, please bear with me because I can't believe that I'm having this issue with... first time I've had an issue with these, and it's tonight. Can you believe it? Yeah, guys, I know you can see and hear me. The problem is that I can't hear Anthony.
Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Anthony. Right, guys, my earphones are not working at all. What I need to do is I need to check if Anthony in the background here is going to have an effect on what you can hear. So good evening, Anthony. Can you just confirm, everyone, that you can see and hear both myself and Anthony? What a start, Anthony.
I know, right?
Right, okay.
As if it weren't already tough enough.
Exactly, as if it wasn't tough enough. So welcome back, watch people. We are now live, and a very warm welcome to everyone wherever you are across the world. We'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes. Obviously, you've had that couple of minutes now for everyone to join us, and there's a lot of you waiting there. Just so you all know, in preparation for this interview, I have some notes that I've written down, comments and questions to ensure that I try and get this right as much as possible. So I'll be reading from my carefully planned scripts during the show. Right, hopefully you're now all in, sitting ready, and we're ready to get going. Now, for the sake of complete transparency, this interview is being conducted live, I'm sure you can tell. And in a moment, I'll be introducing Anthony, and we'll get going. What I need everyone to understand tonight is I'm working alone this evening. I only have one set of eyes and ears and one set of hands. I'm going to be focusing solely and absolutely on the script and the job at hand, and I won't be able to read out or answer any questions during the show. I'll be leaving the comments turned on so that everyone can have their say, and I'll read them when I can concentrate on them properly. The questions that I'm putting to Anthony tonight mostly have come from you, the viewers, and will be quick fire whenever possible, giving Anthony the chance to answer each one in his own accountable words before moving on to the next question. Anthony, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Sorry about the complete mess at the start.
Not at all. Quick question. My videographer just texted me a tip for you. Did you, because I was doing the same thing, in the bottom corner of your Zoom panel where the mute, it shows a little mute microphone. Did you select both your speaker and your microphone to your AirPods?
I did. My AirPods won't even come up.
Oh, really?
No, they're not
Is your
even showing.
Bluetooth? Is your Bluetooth on?
Yeah, the Bluetooth's on. They're connected to the computer. Everything is perfect. They're just not showing on the options, which is I can't believe it. But there we go. I'm hoping that we're not going to get too much bounce back. Just bear with me 1 second, Anthony.
Sure.
Right. Okay. So let's have a look. Before we start tonight, Anthony, I just want to make one or two things clear. So we both understand each other and that we both understand the perimeters of this interview. I'd like to put my questions to you in full and uninterrupted, please. If you don't understand any of them first time around, it's important that you let me know and I'll repeat that question for you. Is that clear? Yeah?
Sure.
I'm not here to be anyone's judge, jury, or to try and pretend I represent anyone other than myself, or to come to any conclusion about any guilt, innocence, or redemption. That's for the viewers, your customers, and for your fellow watch dealers to decide. But hopefully, after tonight, everyone can start to move on, put this all past us. But first, I think you agree there has to be some answers. One thing that I did want to say, and I do want to keep some kind of perspective here. Yes, your actions have upset a lot of people, including myself, you know that. But we need to keep this into perspective. This isn't a criminal trial of the century, and I think most people need to bear that in mind. I'm merely here to act as a voice, and I hope to be able to conduct this interview with a level of professionalism and fairness that most sensible people will respect. Now, Anthony, I know you want to open with a statement, but before you do, I just want to read you the following, if that's okay.
Please go ahead.
I've had hundreds of questions that people want me to throw at you tonight. Clearly, there won't be enough time for us to cover them all, but I hope that I have the most important ones in front of me for you to answer. And I have to say that just like many of those watching tonight, your actions initially baffled me, they disappointed me and confused me. And as a former watch dealer, sometimes they annoyed me. But again, like many of our viewers, I'm only annoyed because it kind of brought the watch community into disrepute. Now, I know that you have a statement to read out. Would you like to go ahead and read that now?
I would. First off, thank you, Paul, for doing this. When I reached out to you, part of my statement is that when I reached out to you to conduct this because I know there's a lot of questions out there that people want answers to. I knew that you would use a no nonsense, no bullshit approach. you'd be direct, and you'd ask what people want to know. I'm going to give you the respect of giving you the most fair and honest answers and the truth. At the same time, I just want to say that this video and this interview is not for the haters out there. It's not for the keyboard warriors. It's for the people that are going out there being malicious and trying to voice an uneducated, unfactual opinion. This video and the purpose of me being here today is for my friends. It's for my clients. It's for my followers. It's for our supporters that genuinely do have, they feel like they need, or they want to understand this situation better. This video is not for the people that are here waiting to catch me slipping. It's not for the people that are looking for something to use against me, my business, my team, anything we've got. You guys, I don't care about y'all. Y'all are going to feed as much as you want. And I hope you do, because all it's going to do is keep spreading and keep spreading. But for the people that are out there to get a genuine answer, that's why I'm here. And I'm going to give you an answer straight from the fact. I also want to say, Paul, that I'm not here to beg for forgiveness. I'm not here to beg for sympathy. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I'm here to answer questions and put an end to this. After this video with you and after this interview, I will never speak on this subject again. This is going to be the end of it. The other thing I want to say is I want to put something into perspective before we start this. After, I believe we started and we did our first day in the life video back in late October. So let's just fast forward to the end of this October. We'll just make it a year. After a year of having 2 videographers and editors on staff with full salaries, I estimate that to be just under $200,000. The camera equipment, the audio equipment, the lighting, the computers, the servers, the laptops, all the equipment that it takes to produce the content for this show, I've estimated that we've spent so far about $80,000. The extra plane tickets I have to book when my videographer travels with me, the extra hotels, the extra meals, the extra stuff we do solely for the purpose of getting a little bit more content, the trips we take to deliver a watch when I could easily send a $150 FedEx label, those extra expenses I account for, I want to say anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 for 1 year of content. That puts my total around $475,000 to $480,000 that I will spend for 1 year of content. The point I'm trying to make is, how much have I ever charged anybody to watch my YouTube channel? That's what I want to put into perspective. So while people are out there bitching and complaining about what I owe them, I don't think I owe my YouTube viewers anything. I think I owe my clients an answer. I think I owe my friends, the people that I hurt. I think I owe the dealers in the watch community. I do owe you guys an answer, and that's what I'm here to give you. But for the guys that are out there just watching my content for free, and I'm not asking for $1 from you, I don't owe you anything. Even with all this mess out here, all of the backlash that I'm getting, my brand is getting, my company is getting, my team is getting, I still spent the week traveling and producing content. And we actually just ordered 6 more cameras for our new location. So I'm still going to put more content out, and I'm still not going to charge it. I do not monetize on my videos for the sake of giving you guys free content to watch. So with that being said, Paul, it's your stage. You have my attention.
Anthony, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm not going to make any comment on what you just said, because we could talk all night otherwise. I'm going to get straight into the questions. I've got to be honest with you, and we're going to be honest with the viewers. You don't know the questions that I'm going to put to you tonight, but my guess is you've got a damn good idea.
I've read a lot of the comments, and I have an idea.
You know the subjects. Okay, so it's not going to be pleasant reading it out, but like I said, let's get into it. The whole sorry state of affairs started with a report that appeared on the watch collecting lifestyle website that read, breaking news, Dallas Gray watch dealer, the Timepiece Gentleman, seems to have vanished with millions of dollars in consignment inventory and funding money. So bearing that in mind, the first question that a lot of people have asked me to ask you, was that article planned and planted by you, by Marco, by you both, or by anyone associated with you in a deliberate attempt to create hype and to fool the watch people around the world?
Simple answer is no. I had never even heard of this watch collecting lifestyle before that article came out. I think I briefly, if it's the same company, I believe I looked at a magazine once before that had watch collecting lifestyle on it. I don't know if the two are related, but before that, I had no prior knowledge of this blog or Halim, I believe who it is now. I did not actually. Marco knew who he was, but no, that article was not planted.
Okay. So the next question that I wrote down was kind of linked to that first one. So forgive me because you've already given us your answer. I'm not here to argue with you tonight or to debate what you say to me. I'm here to give you a voice and to ask the questions. That what I'd written down was, Anthony, be honest with us, wasn't this basically made up by you as you went along, pretending that these moves were planned when they really weren't? And if that's true, why should the viewers believe anything that you say now, or, you know, during this interview, if that was true, but you've just told us that it's not?
What I can say to that is, and if I'm just going to tell what comes to mind. And if it answers some of your questions, then let me know. So
Sure.
When we originally planned this, we knew that there would be some talk and some chatter, and this idea would come about. We didn't think it would happen so fast. We absolutely did not anticipate 8 hours after turning our social media off that an article would come out accusing us of taking off with everything. We honestly thought it would take about 2 days for chatter to start and about 3 days for it to really catch fire. By that point, it would have been Thursday afternoon. We planned on releasing a video Friday evening with the charity and with just the charities and the initial message involved. Now we'll get into it a little bit later, but how it developed into much more than that based on what happened in the first 24 hours. And that's kind of what changed the whole parameters of this blackout, was how fast that spread and how much negativity came out within that 1 day time period. So it caught us off guard, and I don't know, we were kind of put on edge. I could keep going until
Is it like what you're saying? Was it like a kind of like a small fire that you started that quickly became a blaze and you was having trouble controlling it?
I wouldn't say we were having trouble controlling it, because the idea was, when this took off, we wanted everybody talking. We wanted the world talking. The idea behind getting this kind of exposure was to catch the world's attention.
Yeah.
Again, it was just, we had a time frame of it taking this long, and it took this long. So what we anticipated in doing in this amount of time, we had to quickly kind of revert, because the following morning after that article come out, here's where things kind of got tricky. And this may answer one of your questions later on, I don't know. Marco got a call from the police the morning after this article came out, and he called me actually kind of freaking out. And anyone that's known me long enough, anyone that actually knows me, knows I'm not the kind of person to half-ass anything. We planned this event. We planned the charity work. We planned the outcome. I'm not going to give that up just because things took fire faster than we anticipated. It was too early to call it quits, but Marco actually wanted to call it quits. And I told him, no, we decided we're going to do this. If we come back within 24 hours and I felt like at the time, because of what was going on, I felt like it was going to be too hard to explain just disappearing and that article coming out than it would to write it out and see what happened.
It's interesting you talk about Marco, because that is one of my next questions. The viewers will want to know why Marco isn't here with you tonight, because at first it was said that it was Marco's idea, and then there seemed to be a contradiction. So can you clarify whose idea it actually was, because people are a bit confused?
The idea was born from Marco. We were at dinner at Nick and Sam's, sitting in a booth talking with another client of ours, and I remember it vividly. Out of nowhere, Marco's just like, he gets quiet and says, "What if we tried something, completely off the wall, completely different?" He mentioned what if we blacked out our business for a good cause? And we talked a little bit about it, but again, it was a very, very premature idea. It was a very basic idea. Once he explained to me kind of the end goal, I took over and constructed it. That's what I do. People give me an idea, they come up with something, and I take it as a challenge to build this out and push it through. Because as you guys know, or as anyone out there knows, that ideas are only, people have millions of ideas. The difference in an idea and actually something happening is someone willing to push it through all the way to the end, plan it out. And this took planning. It took a lot of planning outside of our actual business, that's the other thing is, we were doing all this outside of running a business, outside of traveling, outside of doing content for social media. So I'm the kind of person that when something sounds good like that, I take it to heart, and I will take the lead and take the reins on it. So it was initially Marco's idea, but I'm the one that saw it through all the way to the end. And when Marco called me the following morning after talking to the police, I am the one that said, "No, we are not stopping this. We are going to continue this and ride it through and see what goes on." So
did you not consider consulting anyone before you did this? You just picked up the ball, both of you, and you just ran with it?
Yes.
I felt like I've got to ask you this, because this is the one that's probably baffling most people. Why did you do it?
Well, we've announced things for charity before. I have given a lot to charity that people have not seen. I do a lot that people don't ever see. And I see the kind of traction that social media is my business. Social media is what built us and what got us to where we are. I have seen over the years people try to go out and do something good, and it gets this much exposure. But the littlest bit of drama, the littlest bit of conflict gets 10 times more exposure at 10 times the pace. So looking back on it, had we come out and said, "Guys, we're going to shut off our social media, we're going to take a break, we're going to take a leave of absence from the business, and we're going to go dedicate our time to charity," would people have supported it? Absolutely. Would it have gotten the kind of traction that it got? No, not a chance in hell would people be talking about this around the world. So by adding that dramatic effect, or the sudden, that's it. By adding the sudden drama to it, captured the exposure we were looking for, which was that kind of that shock and awe. And
we'll come on a little bit more to the charity a little bit later, because I want to try and keep my questions in order. Okay. Talking of your staff, how are they feeling about this, and how have you managed them during this time? Because obviously there's other human beings at your end behind this story. We talk about yourself and Marco, but you've got people that you employ, obviously. How are they dealing with this?
From my perception, they were a little unsure kind of when it was going on. When you completely close up a business, and the majority of my sales guys are on commission only salaries, I can only imagine they'd be hesitant, because that means a week of no pay for them. But the difference, I think, in my staff, and one thing that people don't realize is I make it a point we take care of our staff. And it wasn't like like a guy on Valentine's Day that goes and buys his girlfriend flowers on Valentine's Day. No, we give them flowers all year round so that whenever Valentine's Day comes up, it's nothing different. The same with this thing. I make sure that we take care of our staff all the time so that whenever we were telling them, hey guys, you're not going to make any money for a week, but when things come back, one, we promise you'll be taken care of. Two, it's one step back for 3 steps forward if this works out well. And from my understanding, they all understood that. They were okay with it. The reason I think that, trying to think about it for a second. Going through it, how fast it blew up, I'd be willing to bet that they were uneasy and unsure, and there were questions. But I think my staff knows me well enough to know that I would never leave any of them high and dry. That I think at one point during all of this, I even told them, worst case scenario, guys, if this blows up in our face, this is the true end of our business, I would sell my entire watch collection to make sure they're taken care of, if that's what I had to do. And when I say something like that to my guys, I'm not just saying it, and it's not just words in and out of their ears. My guys believe me. And I've made it a point from the beginning of employment of any one of my staff that anything that they ever need, they can come to me for. Anything, any questions they have, they can come to Marco and I for, and we are going to take care of them. And we have done just that. So simple answer to that one is I think my staff is good.
So what's the story with AJ?
So AJ, for people who don't know, AJ is the kid in the wheelchair that appeared in one of my videos, which was the only video he ever appeared in, was the one where I hired him. So I've seen comments where people are asking, or not asking, but they're making statements that AJ was only employed as an act for social media. Well, okay, that's fair enough to say. Why wasn't he ever in any one of my videos? He was in the first video when I hired him, along with the rest of my staff, but he was never in another video. AJ was hired because he came to me and he texted me multiple times, and then finally showed up to my office one day and wanted to talk to me. He came in and he talked to Marco and I liked his demeanor. He was soft spoken. He laid it out that he had all these things going on in his life, but he had a passion for watches. He wanted to learn the business, and he was willing to start small because he didn't know a lot about watches. So I gave him some small tasks. I said we'd bring him on, and I gave him some small tasks. Now, his conflicting travel schedule, or his travel schedule conflicted with a normal full-time work schedule. So he was only able to come in on Saturdays. I allowed him to come in. You know, I'm busy. I have 12 employees. And just like any company, the guy that's coming in one day a week, you have a boss. Dylan was his boss at the time. He was to be working direct one-on-one with Dylan when he could come in, and he was to communicate that with Dylan, which he did.
Yeah.
And things were well. I have all of our text messages saved from any conversation we've ever had of him praising the opportunity to be there, enjoying the things that he's been there. I did see his most recent comment where he left it on the God Watchers Instagram, talking about I forced him to leave his wheelchair out in the hall and some other stuff. And, you know, I really don't have much to say to that because I'm not a vindictive person and I don't need to be. But if it really came down to it and someone needed me to, if someone just couldn't let it go and they needed me to pull all the video and the audio from our cameras, which we have 4 of them in our office, and we have cameras upstairs, I could pull them all and show everyone that AJ was treated more than fairly, and on more than one occasion said he doesn't like it when people don't allow him to walk. He insisted on walking through the halls. He insisted on walking into our store. AJ was treated fairly. AJ was welcomed with open arms. we let AJ go because the gentleman behind the God Watcher Instagram showed up into our store and then immediately went to bashing us on Instagram. Well, you know, somebody bashing me is nothing new. But when you're hiding behind a persona and you're bashing someone and you wish to remain anonymous, I have a problem with that. You know, it was found out that AJ was communicating with him. Now, I don't know what they were talking about, but I know that there were messages between the two. I asked Dylan to have AJ come talk to me and let me know what's going on. Why is this random person talking trash about us and you're communicating with him? That's not good for our company. And I asked him to see the messages and he erased them all. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Wheelchair or not, you're an employee of my company.
Yeah.
If you're communicating. Okay.
Let's move on. So
Sure.
at what point did you realize that everything was backfiring badly?
I don't think, to be honest, I don't know.
I think you need to choose your words very carefully.
Until we posted our video with the charity work, as well as the behind the scenes stuff, up until that point, I honestly did not think what we were doing was.
Are you saying, Anthony, at that stage, perhaps what you're trying to say, and I'm not helping you out here, because you're clearly trying to think of the right words. Are you saying that you wasn't aware of the damage that you were doing to other dealers? Is that what you're saying?
That is true. Yes. I wasn't. I was not aware of the effect that it was having on actual dealers and their business, because no dealers had reached out to me talking about the effect it's having on their business. Nobody actually mentioned the damage that was being done. The only damage I heard of was the critics on YouTube and the nasty comments. I don't care about those comments. I don't care about that. That's, you know, dealers did try to get a hold of me, but nobody sent me a message saying, you realize what you're doing. So no, I honestly was not aware of the damage that was being done until we posted our video, and it shed some light on how this turned out,
let's move on to that video. And now, you know, look, the reason that me and you are doing this interview is because, you know, I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm not enjoying saying some of this stuff, because
Sure.
I'm looking you right in the eye and it's kind of embarrassing. But I have to be honest and say that I felt that video was a bit of a car crash. And to many, it appeared to be perhaps badly thought out, even a last minute attempt to pull yourselves out of the frying pan. So what is the truth behind that video and the whole, you know, I've written down here the whole charity question. But you've kind of answered some of it, but I'll read it out as I've scripted it. So what is the truth behind that video and the whole charity question? And was it just a fake smokescreen? Now, I know that you've already answered that to a degree, but give me your thoughts on that video, because it was removed. So you obviously wasn't happy with it.
Honestly, I was okay with the video. I was not happy with how malicious people were getting. And when people start pulling up records of members of my sales team's families' addresses, I have a problem with that. I have a problem when people are maliciously attacking me, my friends, my staff, my business for speculation, for a YouTube video. I have a problem with that. And I knew that once that video came out, after 10,000 comments, 9,500 of them being negative, I knew that there would never us moving forward, you know what, the damage is done. At that point, I realized the damage is done. There's no taking that back. The only way we can grow and move forward was to remove that. And again, had there not been malicious activity, if it had just been a bunch of shit talking, I would have left it. When the stuff that I was seeing going on there, the records that were being pulled up, I have a problem with that. And to speak on that, people were pulling like lawsuits up that I've got. They were pulling up Marco's ex-girlfriend's addresses. They were pulling up people's parents' addresses. You know what no one actually did though? Everyone was saying that I used the charities as a cover up because I got caught trying to steal everyone's money and inventory. Did anyone ever call any of the charities and ask them what day and times we were there? If they did, they would have realized that on Monday morning, we were at the Dare to Dream Foundation. On Tuesday morning, the day our video dropped, we spent 4 hours working at the North Texas Food Bank. But see, again, that kind of goes back to the point of nobody looks for the good. Nobody did the due diligence on the good that we were trying to show. They pulled up my lawsuits. They pulled up the negative stuff that they could find. So to go back to answering the question on the video, all of that extra, if you cut the video off when Marco and I were done talking about, you know, take time away from social media, go give back to some charities. That was supposed to be the end of the video. 24 hours after all this happened, we were starting to see people come out of the woodworks, people that I literally saw last week at lunch. Oh, I knew he was a scammer the whole time. Once a felon, always a felon. You know, this guy's never changed. There's always been a creepy vibe. We've never trusted this company. Now we're being bombarded with all of this hate. And from what it looked like everyone really wasn't our friends in the first place. So then it got us thinking. I was like, well, shit, I was just with these people last week. Who can I really trust? If everyone's coming out of the woodwork now based off of speculation, based on an unfactual article, how many people out there are really pretending to be our friends because we have a massive social media account? Because that is one thing that people don't realize I have to think about on a daily basis is, you know, given our social media status, people come to us all the time wanting from us, not wanting to give to us, but they want what we can give to them. You're like watch dealers, people come to us because of what they think we can give them, the money, the fame, all that. So it's a daily struggle to try to really figure out who you can trust. So when all of that happened, everything after the charities and the promoting people to do charities, everything else after that in that video happened after that first 24 hours. We did not plan any of that. And that's where it was kind of just winging all of that. And then I started seeing videos come out and I was like, you know what? I wanted to see, I thought Roman and Eric and Nico and you, and there were people that I've actually met in person. I've never met you in person, Paul, but I've talked to you behind the scenes. I've talked to you on this. People that I've actually dealt with and talked to face to face. I had a good feeling that they were not going to buy into this hype, but given how much pressure there is behind social media and behind all this, I wanted to see it. And you know what? That was a foolish decision for me to put that on video. And I'll admit that. And it could be argued that it was foolish and it was hurtful to test friendships, but you know, if you don't test,
let me come in there because I'm actually
Okay.
skipping a few questions to go to one that I've written down here for later on. I think it's important that you know and that everyone knows that I think right from the word go, I don't think anyone within the business thought or believed that you'd run away with people's money, because we've seen, if people do that, we've seen how they do it. And that wasn't the way they do it. So that is why when I went on to comment very shortly after it all happened, I was very, very careful about what I was saying, because I didn't see that. We were actually concerned more for your personal safety and your well-being. And I think that's what hurt a lot of us, in the fact that you felt we had to prove ourselves to you, when in fact, in all honesty, if I'm frank with you, it was probably the other way around, but I guess you accept that now.
I I accept that. And I respect that. Like I said, none of that was planned, but you can imagine, I don't know if anyone out there watching this can imagine the pressure. Now, I'm not, let me rephrase that. When you have something happen like this, and given, yes, this was a drastic scene, regardless, people that I've had lunch with, people that I've had dinners with, people that I've had in my apartments, people that I've known for over a decade, that I've never done anything wrong to hurt somebody, coming out of the woodwork to say they never trusted me in the first place, it does get to your head. It does play mind games. On top of that, I've got a team of 12 people that I'm having to comfort through this and just remind, like, look, everything's going to be okay. The business is closed down. We've got the police calling us. We've got, clients we've got all these different moving parts. It is a lot of stress on one person. And, that probably wasn't the best decision to make. And I don't always make the best decisions. But based on what I did there, the reason I put my apology video out was for that purpose. It was towards the people that I hurt. It was towards the business, or it was for that. It was for the people that genuinely cared. And what I saw on my end, that people out there watching this aren't going to see my phone. They're not going to see the messages I got, but 99%, I would honestly say 99% of the people that I've personally interacted with, the dealers that I've done a lot of deals with, all thought the same thing. Like, what's going on? Like, I don't think it's this. Are you okay?
Maybe you underestimated the power of your social media, because, I had dealers in England, we're thousands of miles away from Dallas in Texas. And I had dealers calling me saying, Paul, this guy, what's he up to? I've got people pulling consignment watches out of my shop, so I don't know. I mean, giving you the benefit of the doubt, maybe you just underestimated the reach.
I will 100% admit that I underestimated how big this would get, how fast it would go. And I severely underestimated the effect it would have on other dealers. But at the same time, I'm going to argue something on this. We've seen scandals like this happen before. We've seen people seriously get hurt. And what happens when something big like this, what happens when something big like this happens? A lot of people get hurt, and it changes policies and procedures. It changes the way people do business. Now, please hear me, I am not justifying what I did, but at the end of the day, nobody got hurt. And it did bring awareness to some stuff. I mean, how many people out there were just loosely, the positive that I'm looking at from that, if there is one, is how many dealers out there do not pay enough attention to their customers? How many dealers do not spend enough time building their name, connecting with their clients, building that trust? Now, in the heat of the moment, yes, I can understand clients pulling their stuff, because it does look like some big dealer that had a lot of trust in the public's eye just disappeared with all their stuff. But that's only from, the one thing I'll argue is that's only from the perception that people on social media were getting. Every single one of my clients called or texted myself or Marco or my sales staff, and they asked us all the same thing. They're like, what's up? Should we be worried? None of my actual clients freaked out. And again, that's one thing that people outside looking in won't see, because they don't know our interactions with our clients. They only know what they see on the outside on social media. But our relationship prior to this, and none of our clients knew going into this about it. Again, we did that for a reason, because we wanted to have an effect. And the reason we told no one was because you tell one person and it leaks out, it doesn't have the same effect. But we have built a trust in our client base that none of them freaked out. None of them pulled their watches. Everyone got paid.
Did you inform them before that happened that this was happening?
No, nobody knew. The only people that knew what we were about to do was my staff.
Was yourselves, did you say?
My staff, yes,
Okay.
and my investor.
Okay,
one
now the next
investor.
question I've got for you, you kind of answered in the video that you've just released, but I'll cover it very briefly and you might want to just repeat your answer. It's about the 5 oyster perpetuals and the charity proceeds. As I say, you've already covered that in your video. So the vast majority of people watching this tonight are already going to know the answer. And the next question was, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a promise to donate 5% of revenue to charity in July. Is that still happening? And if so, how will that money be distributed? And to which charities, and which charities are going to receive those funds? Are those questions that you can answer briefly?
Real quick, the charity watches, as I mentioned in my video, we've already sold 2 of them. We still have 3 of them up for sale. We designated each of those watches to a specific charity based on the color of the dial and something that resonated with that charity, being the logo color or something. Yes, starting in July, 5% of all of our profits are going to be donated to those. They're going to be divvied up at the end of the month, or calculated up, and then divvied evenly between those 5 charities. And at the end of the month, I'm going to give those running numbers. It's not going to be every video.
Okay. Yeah, you've already covered that, to be fair.
Right.
Anthony, your bank accounts being frozen. Can you tell us what that's about? Because as far as I'm aware, banks don't close down because of what's happening or banks don't close down accounts because of what's going on in social media. What's the story behind that?
Well, closing down and freezing an account are 2 different things also. That's what people need to understand is people are saying my bank accounts are closed. My bank accounts aren't closed. They're very much active. You can imagine, again, going back to it's a normal day. It's a normal Tuesday. Everyone goes home, 5 o'clock. It's a normal day. The bank shuts down. 6 o'clock, this article comes out. By 8 o'clock in the morning, the whole world is talking about the $1 million scandal that just happened here in Dallas, Texas. If I'm the president of a bank where I see this guy almost every single day, if I'm not in the bank every single day, I'm talking to someone at the bank, queuing up wires and confirming wires. It didn't even shock me that night when I logged into my account and saw that they were frozen, because I just assumed that this article's gotten out. It's everyone in Dallas is talking about it. It's standard protocol when you see something like that come out. You have to take action, because how bad would it look on the bank if all these guys if this were a real scenario and I had to the tune of $500,000 or $600,000 in my account at the time, plus another 400,000 coming in, how bad would it look on the bank if they took no action and allowed me to continue to steal everyone's money?
So what you're saying
people
is,
watching it was preventative measures.
Yeah, it was the bank doing due diligence. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And the bank did not know I was coming in to film that day. As people watched my video, I came in there, I talked with the bank president, I talked with my rep, and by that evening, my accounts were unfrozen and we continued business as usual. Again, it's speculation. If someone needed me to pull up my bank account and show the transactions in and out, days and times, and someone really wanted to do some investigative reporting, I've got it all there.
Cool. Okay, look, I've got one question that I want to ask you now that's not so serious, and then we're going to get into 1 or 2 that are perhaps a little bit more difficult. I spoke to producer Michael ahead of this interview.
Okay.
I want to ask you about your version of events with him. Is it true that he pulled out of a collaboration with you after this happened?
It is. I spoke with Michael at the airport. Marco and I were actually at the airport headed to LA right when the video was posting. We actually posted it in the lounge at the airport before boarding our plane. When we landed, I had some messages from Michael that I needed to call him. So I called him and he explained to me, he asked me, he's like, have you seen the comments that are going on? I hadn't yet. And he just informed me that he's like, it's a lot of negativity and it's really bad. I got in to start reading them, and then I realized how bad these comments were. And Michael told me, he's like, this is not, my platform is not a platform for negative stuff. It's a platform for positive inspiration, showing like the fun side of stuff. Yeah. And that because of the amount of hate and bad publicity my video was getting, he did not want to post a video or do any kind of collaboration at that time in fear of the negativity spreading from my channel to his channel. And I 100% respected him for doing that.
Okay. I mean, it wasn't an important one, but it's one that people wanted me to ask, so I've asked it. This one is going to be a little bit tougher. And are there any private individuals, any watch dealers that you currently owe money to, or who are requesting that they are paid back immediately? In other words, do you have anyone chasing you for money that you owe them right now?
Not a single person. If anybody's owed money, they've gotten in contact with me or Mike and they've been wired appropriately. Now, I can't say that people that sent us stuff yesterday or Thursday have been paid, but they will be on Monday.
Okay.
But as far as outstanding balances, no.
Well,
Everyone that is owed money, they're paid.
Yeah, from a former watch dealer's viewpoint, that's a big question for me, because if there was, you know, a dozen dealers out there that you owed multiple amounts of money to and were asking for it back and you wasn't paying them, I've got to be honest with you, that would be a problem for me.
I understand that.
You know, I've asked you the question, you've given me the answer. So on that subject, can you tell us more about your $2,000 investors and where they currently sit? Again, let me be clear on this. Are there any investors out there right now who are requesting their money back? And if so, when are they going to get it?
There are people out there requesting. Actually, let me start from the things that I thought of as you were asking this question. The word investor is being used very, very loosely. Being an investor would mean that you have an equity stake in my company. You have decision-making abilities in my company. You have a stake to receive dividends. You're going to make money on my company. None of that's true. Now, maybe it's my fault for wording this initially. Whenever I announced this, I may have worded it wrong. What it is a $2,000 membership to a Facebook group where you get special perks. You pay a fee, you get access. That's it. It's a transaction. There's no investment. Now, what I did promise was that any money received from this is going to be allocated to building the new building or outfitting the new office. Whatever the new space is, that money was 100% going to be allocated to just that. It was not going to be mixed in with inventory. It was not going to go to travel expenses, nothing else. Solely for the building. That was my promise to this. That was what I intended on. By making that promise and that commitment to it, I figured people would feel more invested in the company and want to participate. Now, we sold, I'd have to look to be 100% accurate. We sold north of 300 memberships. I would say 130 or 140 of them never got the opportunity to join the Facebook group. Some which weren't even on Facebook. Some, it was such a delay. It was a mixture of Zelle payments, PayPal payments, bank wires, international bank wires, people wiring. Here's the confusing part. People would wire from one account, but then request to join Facebook from another account. Or they would wire me or Zelle me from one account, but they would fill out the email with their personal info, and stuff didn't match up. Now, aside from running a business, aside from shooting content, aside from planning all this, managing my staff, having a personal life, I'm having to sort through bank wires, Zelle payments, PayPal payments, international bank wires, and match up information to make sure the person saying that they paid actually paid. Because believe it or not, I had tons of people requesting access to this group, filling out all the information, but didn't pay. And it was a bit of a process. Again, I had this idea, I threw it out there. I didn't plan it all the way through. I was just excited.
I was going to say, because they would say, well, that's your problem, not theirs.
And I understand that. There was a delay in getting people into the group. And that's my problem. I forgot where I was going with that. To answer
So
the
look, the bottom
question,
line is-
people have been requesting refunds, and
So
I'm giving them to them.
There's been logistical problems, but the question originally was, are there, how many of them out there? Let me come on something else. I've since this interview's been planned, I've been expecting quite a few people to contact me and say, Paul, I'm having a problem with Anthony. Because that's what people do. They write to me with their problems, their watch problems. I've had about maybe 5 or 6 people write to me alleging an issue with you. But when I've gone back to them and asked for evidence, proof, I've actually only had 2 people come back to me. One was a gentleman who you'd already paid back. Another is a gentleman that I believe you're paying back on Monday.
Yes, he reached out to me, and I actually.
The rest proved to be, as far as I could tell, because they didn't come back to me with any evidence. I mean, look, we can accuse anyone of anything without any backup or any. When someone says to me, I've had a problem, I want to see what the problem was. They didn't come back to me. So for me, there's 2. But the question that I asked you was, how many people out there are asking for their money back? And do you know that off the top of your head? And if you do, when will they get their money back? Because that is a big question that, I really gotta ask you.
So Marco's going to hate me for doing this right now, but I was going to wait until next week when I can actually sit down and take the time to do this, because believe it or not, to queue up 150 bank wires at $2,000 a piece takes a lot of time. And Zelle limits. Oh, so for anyone watching this, Zelle limits for me to send Zelles out are $5,000 a day. Half my people don't have PayPal. And to queue up bank wires, we're still in these times of COVID. I have to go into the bank and sit there while the banker queues up every single one of these bank wires. It takes time on top of running a business. So first off, anyone that's requested a refund, my apologies, it's taken a delay. Everyone that sent us money is going to get their money back. Now, having said that, advice from my mentor, we are actually going to close that group, and I'm going to refund everybody, because the initial idea by that, again, unorthodox, unheard of, but it worked. Within 24 hours, I think we sold over 100 memberships. Within 72 hours, we were up to 200. Within about 2 weeks, almost 300 memberships to this group. And it was just getting started. Again, this group was put together very quickly. It wasn't planned out. I think I had the idea 2 days before that based on a conversation with Marco. And not sure where I was going with it, but say this.
So what you're saying is, Anthony, what you're telling me is that anyone that's invested with you, their money's safe.
Their money's more than safe. If I have to pull it up, as a matter of fact.
I mean, that's my job tonight. My job tonight is to ask you on behalf of anyone that's invested with you, because look, there's a lot of people been moaning. There's a lot of people been saying a lot of things.
So here's my Chase account. This is the account that was established for the building fund. Now, you may notice it's off on that because I've been those odd numbers. It's not even $2,000 numbers. I have been paying a portion of people back through bank wires. I've been paying people back through PayPal, and that's incurring fees on my end, which I'm going to cover. But as of the time of this video right now, there's 287,000 left in that account for my VIP members, all of which is going to be refunded. And we're going to close that group down simply for the sake of, honestly, my mentor just said, he's like, you're going to come out of this. You're going to come out bigger, better, and stronger. And when you do it, trust me, you're not going to owe anyone a dime. And there's no better feeling than that. So being who my mentor is and what he's accomplished in his life, I'm going to take it. I promised him I'd take his advice, and we are going to close this group down. So yes, everyone who has money with me, their money's more than safe.
In an old video, you once said that once someone has lost your trust, they've lost it forever. So why should people feel differently about this situation? And that's a hard question, but sometimes you have to answer for your own words. What would you say to that? See, I told you guys that Anthony didn't know what was coming.
I still stand by what I said. If you lose my trust, then it's gone. But when I say that to someone, what I mean is if you're my friend and you betray me, you've actually hurt me. You've lost my trust. If you are one of my employees and you steal from me,
yeah,
or you do something deceptive to hurt my brand or my business, you've lost my trust. If you are a fellow dealer and I send you a watch and you break it and you don't pay me, or you just disappear and you don't pay me, you've lost my trust. And I don't give that back. But if you have a YouTube channel and you put out a bunch of free content and you never asked me to pay for that content, you've never asked me to drop your email so I can spam you with ads and collect data from you. If you've really never asked anything of me at all, more than liking and subscribing and sharing to maybe win a Rolex or something, and you put out a video or you do something that maybe I don't agree with or I don't like, I could be mad. I understand that. I could be hurt. I could be disappointed. But at the end of the day, you didn't physically hurt me. You didn't steal from me. You didn't betray me. Your content wasn't what I wanted to see. And I can get over that. So
yeah, I think most people will understand what you're saying there. I mean, the next piece that I'd written down, seems a bit harsh after what you've just said, because I kind of get that. What you're saying is that the people who you really care about or you owed money to, you didn't think that you was being disloyal to them.
I didn't hurt any. I mean, when I say I didn't hurt anybody, I did not maliciously hurt anyone.
Yeah,
I did
didn't
not
mean to. I think
I didn't mean
Anthony,
to.
Yeah, I think people were hurt, but I don't think you meant to hurt them.
And if they're and I mean this as sincere and wholeheartedly as I can say that, if there's a dealer out there that my actions seriously hurt your business, reach out to me and tell me how I can make it right for you. If there is a way, if I hurt you, if my actions cause you to lose money, if my actions caused your business a strain, then tell me and let's sit and let's talk and figure out a way I can help you. Obviously, I have grown up very fast in this industry. I've done very well on social media. I didn't do this by I didn't get to where I'm at by being an idiot or by being stupid or by being a crook I was a felon, but not being a felon. I didn't get that by being an idiot. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know.
I got here by working my ass off, being passionate about what I do, asking for help, believing in the people that were helping me, and then giving back to people. If you look at what it's been said, and I've never said this, but people have said this, I've changed an industry. And I've changed it for one, and here's where I see that. I've changed an industry because look how many dealers are now taking to social media. Look at how many dealers, there were a few before my time that were big, but very, very, very few. Now, over the last 3 years, you've seen more dealers in the watch and diamond industry take to social media, and not just take to social media, but take to it more seriously because of what a 2-time felon fresh out of prison 4 years ago was able to do in a matter of 3.5 years. And I say that to say, There's a lot of guys out there with more experience in watches than me. There's a lot of guys out there with more experience being a dealer than me. There's a lot of guys out there with more experience running a business than me. There's a lot of guys out there that done a lot more than me and have a lot more experience than me. But there's one thing I'm good at, and it's social media. And there's one thing I enjoy doing is taking dealers and showing them social media. And I'm not even gonna point it out or call out who all I've helped, but people would be surprised at how many people are now doing what I do based off advice I've given them.
Sure. Okay.
After I started this. So
after you've said that, I mean, I'm coming to the final parts with the questions now. And then if you want, I don't even know if you want it, Anthony, right? But I have 1, 2, 3. I have 4 pages of advice for you from me personally. If you want to hear it, if you don't want to hear it, it's fine. But the last question, which is kind of a difficult one after you've said what you've said, you've kind of preempted it a little bit. But I wrote down, Anthony, people like Roman, Nico, Eric, and many others took you into their circle and they trusted you. They did business with you. They took you under their wing, kind of, if that's the right expression. Do you understand now that they became embarrassed by what happened and it was a difficult situation for them? And ultimately, what's your message to them today? Finally, to put this to bed for them and for you and between the lot of you, what's your message to them today about that?
Well, my message to Roman, Eric, Nico, Adrian, I know I interrupted your vacation with your little girl. I've actually already reached out to those guys, and I did it on a personal level. That those guys mean something to me more to me than the social media image out here that we all have. We have a special bond. We have a special connection. That's why my apology to them was not filmed. It was not put out here on social media to be broadcasted. That was something that was sent to them to be personal. I have talked with all of them. I'm currently talking with all of them. Those guys are stand-up guys. They were extremely annoyed. I caused them a lot of inconvenience for a week on their business. I interrupted their vacations. I interrupted their trips. But whenever I tell those guys, and when I put this message out here, that I did not do anything I did with the intentions of hurting anyone, or especially them, I would like to think that they believe me. I think they do. And I'd also like to think that when I say anything and everything I can do in my power to make up for that, I will. And I think whenever I tell that to them personally, I don't do it on here. I talk to them personally.
Yeah.
When I tell them that, I think they believe me. We all make, and they all, talking to them privately, they all kind of had the same message back to me. It was like, you're young, you're stupid, you're new in the business, you had a little bit of fame, you made a little bit of money. It happens to a lot of people. These guys have been around a lot longer than I have, and they've seen it. Roman's seen it countless times. Eric has started over from scratch after getting all that, I didn't do anything that hasn't been.
It'd be some kind of fool that believed that you set out to upset any of your fellow dealers or indeed your viewers. I mean, like I said on our stream the other night, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I've got a great idea. I'm going to go and completely screw my life today. Obviously there were mistakes involved. Look, we could go on forever, Anthony, but right. I've written down, as I said, something that I wanted to read to you and some advice that I wanted to offer you, because, you say that you have a mentor. I don't pretend to be anyone's mentor, but I would be more than happy to offer you my own personal advice, because I think we've got to know each other. People have called me out because I've called you a friend on numerous occasions, and people have said to me, Paul, how can you class this guy as a friend? You've never met him. But we've spoken a lot. I've looked in your eyes, and the first thing that I said the day after that all broke is that when I look in your eyes, I didn't see a cheap scammer. I didn't see that. I don't get fooled by people easily, and I didn't think that you were trying to fool me. And I do class you as a friend, albeit one that I've never met. So I've got this advice for you. If you're happy for me to read it out, I would love to. Some of it, might have been covered, but I've written it down, so I can only read it out as I've wrote it. Is that okay with you?
Right. Please go ahead.
I mean, firstly, Anthony, I just wish that you'd have asked me about all this before it happened. That's what most younger watch dealers use us older dealers for. I'm sure that, given the benefit of hindsight, that is what you'd have probably have done. Firstly, if I was your advisor or your mentor or whatever you want to call it, I'd like to tell you this. Just be you, because I think that actually inside, people are not seeing the real you. We see parts of the real you, but not the real you. I think the YouTube world of watch dealing, or I should say, I think the world of YouTube and the world of watch dealing shouldn't be confused. They are, of course, crossing over these days. But it's got to be done with professionalism and with consideration and with care, because like it or not, we all become influencers with a responsibility. And secondly, if there's anyone out there that you owe a single penny to, and I know that you've covered this, but as I say, I've already written this down previously. If there's anyone that you ever owe money to in the watch business, pay them back now and pay them in full, because any unhappy debt that you have in the watch business will be a stain on your reputation and will be remembered. But somehow I think you already know that.
Right.
No one should ever deliberately bring this industry in disrepute. It's bigger than me and it's bigger than you, and no one has the right to mess with other people's businesses. We should all remember that this is an industry fueled by passion, and never overlook or fail to appreciate the power of that passion. This is some people's lives. Even we love the business, but even me, sometimes I'm amazed at how much deeper into this world of watches people are. Most importantly, always treat others the same way in which you want to be treated yourself. Anthony, that was my personal mission statement when I was an active dealer. And respect is key, not just in the watch business, but in life in general. Never underestimate people's intelligence, and instead of sometimes overflexing, which the world of YouTube is all about, sometimes people love to see people being humble, so that you kind of connect with them better. It's the real world. I understand flexing because it's a social media necessity, but it's also an unreality. So being able to remain humble whilst flexing is a difficult job, but the mark of a professional. Can you come back from all this? Well, that's not for me to decide. Your social media profile was hit the roof. It's been tarnished to a degree. Your reputation as an individual has been brought into question. But watching you resurrect your career or grow it again will be very interesting. And knowing you as I think I do, I think you're capable of doing that. Every single thing you do and every single thing that you say from now on will be scrutinized and examined by the world. So it's vital that you get everything right. And if you can do that, people will move on. They will forget. Sorry, they won't forget, but the ones that need to forgive certainly will forgive. The committed super haters will never go away, Anthony. They hate you, they hate me, they hate everyone. They probably even hate their own lives. But they aren't the ones whose respect you need to earn. People have been talking about redemption. Well, that can only be achieved by people's actions. Redemption isn't something that can be given, really. It's something that has to be earned. And I always say about the watch business that talk is cheap. It's actions of the business and the man who runs it which reveals the real person. Personally, in most cases, I do believe in redemption. Personally, I'm always giving people a second chance in my life because no one's perfect. But from the outside, as a friend that watches you, sometimes you appear to shoot yourself in the foot. You've done it in the past. And these self-inflicted injuries need to stop. So ask for advice, reach out to your peers, and take some advice maybe, because believe it or not, those guys do want to help you. I'm coming to the end now, so don't worry. Lastly, I think there was damage to the community, but at the same time, most of that damage actually belongs to you. So no matter how deep the wounds are for anyone else, I understand that those wounds are deeper for you. And I would imagine that most people get that. After this mess has been cleared up, you're the one that took the biggest losses. So it's up to you whether you take that advice on board, whether you decide to ask me for any advice or opinions moving forward is your call. You've got my number. You only have to ask, and I'll always be there to help anyone that needs it, but only if they're playing it straight with me and their intentions are honest and genuine. I've got to add that any advice that I give you will be given with the public's best interests at heart, and that's the key, and perhaps something that has failed to be understood in the past. Putting their best interests at heart is actually putting your own best interests at heart too. So really, Anthony, that's it. Apart from saying, is there anything else that you'd like to add? Sorry about the rant.
No. I was just sitting here processing it. I enjoyed what you said.
Sorry, Anthony. My advice to you right now will be to go away, get back to your business and your YouTube channel, put this behind you, ignore the haters, but listen to hopefully my advice and let your actions show that you've taken notice of it. And I think if you can do that, ultimately you can come back even stronger.
Of course. Well, I guess if I were to add anything to it, would be that this has been a learning lesson, but it's been what some could say a major setback. I'm not looking at it from the negative. It's a learning lesson. It put some stuff into perspective. It made us think about some new things. It made us actually reconsidering the direction we were going, because we did in a very, very short period of time frame triple everything we were doing. And the $2 million build out that we were looking toward, building a mega store, I stopped myself. I guess I stopped myself from looking at all the negatives from this and try to see the positives. The positives were it did slow our business down for 2 weeks. But what that really did was it put us back at a level we could handle it. It made us reconsider making such a big jump to the massive store, which we are not going to do now. I think I've revealed that on my video, but rather rather than jump from here to here, we're going to baby step it the proper way. We're going to expand and grow as it fits, not with anticipation for it to happen. So there's a lot of positives that will come out of this. But if there's one last thing I can say is that, I have a badass team and they're busting their ass. We have a lot of stuff planned for the rest of this year. I do promise I will consult before we make any major moves, but we're not going anywhere. Gentleman Timepieces, the Timepiece Gentleman, we are here to stay. Marco and I, our partnership is awesome. Our staff, amazing. So
you're looking ahead and you're positive. So am I right? You're going to run maybe a smaller, tighter ship from here on in?
Yes.
I think that's a good decision.
Yes.
I do think that's a good decision. Let's see. I mean, it's going to be. Sorry.
No, but we're not going anywhere. But we're not going anywhere. We're back. We're here to stay for the long haul. So,
Anthony, I want to thank you personally for giving me the opportunity to have this interview with you tonight. You could have chosen a lot of people, and I respect the fact that you chose me. And I would also like to thank you for allowing me, making no conditions. For anyone out there watching now thinking that this was a mates rate interview, it wasn't. Anthony didn't ask for any favors. He didn't request that I avoid any subject or touch on any subject. I'm happy to put that on record. yeah, I can't fault your approach to this interview. It wasn't pleasant asking you some of those questions publicly, but if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing the job properly. I'm sure there's questions that I've missed, Anthony, and we're both probably get hammered for, oh, Paul, you didn't touch on this question, you didn't touch on that question. My biggest annoyance tonight is my earphones didn't work, and they've been working for the last year perfectly. The biggest interview I've ever done, bang. So I've been worrying about that all night, and it's from that side, it's been a nightmare. But Anthony, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us your answers. They're on record, so everyone is going to hold you to what you've said, and I sincerely hope that you stick to your word and you carry on and do that. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate that, Paul, and we'll talk soon. I look forward to the next fun video that we actually do.
That'd be good. Speak to you soon, Anthony.
All right, take care. Thank you, guys.